Hey, what's up guys? Jose here, shreddeddad.com. In today's video, I'm reviewing the Tip Bar Guy SledTred. Now, according to the Tip Bar Guy, this is a 6-in-1 machine. It has an endless sled for sled pushes and pulls, and then I can also use that as a manual treadmill. We have the power tower. It has a Nordic bench setup, a hip thrust bench setup, and also a sit-up bench setup. Now there's also an additional optional attachment that can also make this an adjustable step-up platform. A lot to cover on this one, so let's get right into it. I'll get the specs out of the way first. This thing weighs 135 pounds. It's very easy to move around because you have some front wheels, so all you have to do is tilt it on its side and you can move it around. So right now with the deck folded up, this is considered power tower mode. In power tower mode, I have 400 pounds of weight capacity on the frame here. Then you have the dimensions, which are 87 inches in height, 40 inches in width, and 52 inches in length. So most of the space is going to be going up vertically, which is great. 52 inches is not a lot. You're going to have a lot of floor space when you have this folded up. Now, speaking of the height, you want to make sure that you measure your ceilings before you invest in a piece of equipment like this so that you have enough clearance up there. 87 inches. You want to make sure you check on that because you don't want to build this and then find out you're right at the ceiling. It's going to make your pull-ups uncomfortable. So now I'm going to fold this down with the treadmill deck down. Now this is in sled mode, and of course this is going to add to the distance, to the length. So it adds 15 more inches, making this 67 inches long. So still, this is still less than 6 feet long. That's not a lot of space for something that does a lot just like this machine. Now with the treadmill deck down, this has a weight capacity of 300 pounds, and you want to make sure that you're tall enough or short enough so that you don't hit your head over here. So the clearance they suggest is for people to be 6'7" and under. I'm gonna jump right into sled mode. So this has 21 levels of magnetic resistance, and I can adjust it 2 different ways. Number 1 would be turning the dial here. This dial has 7 numbers on here, and the rest of the resistance can be adjusted through the flywheels here on the bottom, and I'm gonna show you that in a second. But I just wanna say that one thing I really like about having magnetic resistance versus an actual sled is that I don't have to load and unload anything, especially at the end of the workout when you're really tired from a sled workout. That's the last thing you want to do. So this makes it so much easier to just turn a dial or go under the deck to adjust the resistance. And when it's at the max resistance, this is almost about 300 pounds of resistance. So you can get a good workout here. Another thing that I like to do is actually do drop sets here. So I can start at a high level, and once I start fatiguing, I can turn the dial the opposite way to make it lighter. Now, if you look at the dial, you see numbers 1 through 7. Now, the Tip Bar Guy says this has 21 levels, so how does that work? So I'm going to take you under the hood here. I'm going to take you under the treadmill, and you're going to see that there's 2 flywheels, one here, both work with magnetic resistance. Now, this one here, you can see the magnets are right here, the flywheel's right below it, and the way this works, this side is through the dial. If I turn the dial, you see the magnets get closer to the flywheel. The closer the magnets are to the flywheel, the more resistance you're going to get. But that's only levels 1 through 7. If you want the other 14 levels, you're going to have to go this side over here. So the way this works is manually. If I pull this out, you see the magnets here, the flywheel right there, and then you have 3 different holes. So the first hole is going to be for resistance levels 1 through 7. Now if I move it closer to the second hole, that's going to be more for resistance 8 through 14. And then the third hole is going to be for levels 15 through 21. So you can see the magnets are right on top of the flywheel. Of course, if you get both magnets right on top of the flywheels, then you have the maximum resistance. So that's how that works, levels 1 through 21, even though you only see 1 through 7 on the dial. Now I can set the deck to flat or either a 7-degree incline, and I like that because it gives me the ability to add more intensity to my workout. So I'm going to show you how that works. So right now this is on the flat position, so if I let it down there, you can see it's completely flat. Now in order to change the angle, all I have to do is pull a couple pins from the sides, and then I flip this up, and now I have a 7-degree incline to give me a little bit more of a challenge. Here's a closer look at the belt. This is 53 inches long by 14 inches wide. Now the reason I bring you down here is because I wanted to show you this plastic piece right here. They use real cheap plastic pieces for this. These are just to protect you from getting your fingers caught in between moving parts, or if you have kids, this is very important as well. I just wish they would have used something harder here to make this more durable. It just looks kind of cheap. Now I took it off from this side here, and you can see that if I move the belt, you can see that roller moving around, so it exposes a pinch point there. So it's very important that they did that. I like that they did that, but at the same time, I wish they would have made that a harder plastic. Now they used something similar same type of plastic right around the flywheels here at the top. And this is something that's not going to affect the function of the treadmill. If it breaks, it's just there for protection, but I just wanted to point that out to you. You've seen all the deck parts, now I'm going to show you how this works. So in order for me to move the belt, this requires counterforce. This is not like one of those curved treadmills where I can just start walking. It requires me to be touching something in order to create counterforce so that I can move the belt. Now for sled pushes, I can do several different heights here. The higher I go on the sled push, the harder it's going to be. So if I start here, this is going to be harder than me going down here with the shoulder pads here, because I'm using more of my body weight down here. So high makes it harder, low, you can add a lot of weight. So if I turn it all the way to the right, I can get very low. And I use this more for distance than resistance, but at the max, you can go up to about 300 pounds here. So those are pushes. Now, one thing I like also is that they padded this whole area here. So if you're doing something where you're going up high, your elbows are padded here, and from here I can also do a lot of sprints. So if I set this to the lightest setting, I can also sprint. Again, I can't be moving my arms here because I need some sort of counterforce. Now, one really cool thing they added here to the console is the ability to set goals, which I really like, because I can focus more on the workout, and when I'm done with my goal, then this is gonna beep at me. So here's what I mean. I'm gonna set a goal to sled for 10 feet, and once I'm done with those 10 feet, this is gonna beep at me, telling me I'm done. So I don't have to keep looking up at the time or keep track of my steps. So I'm gonna set that goal here. We're gonna set it for 10 feet, and then I'm gonna start sledding. And there it is, you heard a beep. There's the beep right there telling me I reached my goal. And that's a really cool feature that I like that they added there. You can also measure the time and miles. Now, if I want to do reverse walks or sled pulls, I have to use the multi-pad here so that I can create some counterforce by placing my back on this. Now, the way this works is that you'll see a bunch of different little holes here going up and down both of the front and the back posts of the power tower. And that's where I can connect the multi-pad here. The multi-pad has 4 different anchor points. It has a pop pin on the top, and then a tension knob on the bottom. And I like this and don't like this. I like it because there's exercises where I can get away with using just the pop pin, exercises like reverse walks where this is not gonna have a lot of weight on top. But then there's exercises where it requires a full support, so I need to use the tension knob, which is gonna go all the way through the frame. The pop pin doesn't go all the way through. If you can look closely here, you'll see that the pop pin doesn't go all the way through, so it doesn't need to support a lot of weight. But then you have the tension knob, which is going to take me about an extra 10 seconds to get together. And that's what I don't like, the extra 10 seconds. It's not a huge deal, but I'm just spoiled by the pop pins. So anyway, the way this works is I would just connect it there, pop it in, and then I'm through. Let me show you in real time here. So I'm going to take out the tension knob. So you see it takes a little bit of time, not too long. But if I wanted to do something like a reverse walk, I can just snap that on there. If I wanted to do something like a reverse or a Nordic curl, I can bring it all the way down. So the pop pins just make it easier. The tension knobs are there for more weight support and more safety. So when I do sled pulls or reverse walks, I like to set the multi-pad on the back post here. So I'm gonna do that now. We got that on there. For this one, I only need the pull pins. I don't need any tension on there, just because I'm resting my back here. And that's enough to support me and create some counterforce so that I can push this way. So this feels really good. After a while, you're gonna really feel it on the quads. If you have knee problems or follow the knees over toes program, then this would be a good alternative to sled pulls. So I'll show you how to set up for the Nordic curls and the sit-ups. So same thing I did at the top. You make sure it pops in place and it's ready to go. I can get my legs under here, whether I'm facing up for sit-ups or facing down for Nordic curls. I have more versatility here, which I really like in one piece of equipment. So if I want to switch to the front side, I'm going to take this off. I got to lift the deck up for this one. So from here, I can set up for Bulgarian split squats or hip thrusts. Now remember, for hip thrusts, I'm going to have a lot of weight here because you're going to have your back plus whatever you load on top. And you want to make sure you use the tension knobs for that one too. It's going to take you about 10 seconds per side, not a lot of time, but that's how easy you can change from one position to another. So it doesn't take a lot of time to go from one exercise to the other, which I really like. And if you want to add even more versatility to the SledTred, the Tip Bar guy also sells a multi-step attachment. So it's basically an adjustable platform where I can do calf raises, reverse step-ups, knees over toe split squats. I don't have it myself, but I think it's a good idea to add that just because it gives you more versatility. All right, so now I'll go over the power tower, which is gonna give this whole setup the upper body component. So just like any power tower, you have the pull-up bars there. In the middle, you have the dip handles, and then on the bottom, you have your push-up handles. So we'll start at the bottom here. So taking a closer look at the handles, you can see there's foam on them. It's welded onto the frame, so there's nothing that's adjustable on those, just regular push-up handles. Now when I come to the dip handles here, you can see that these are a little bit thicker and they're foamed from front to back. They're very long handles, so you have a lot of room to play with there. And then you have similar setup as the multi-pad. You have the pop pin here and then a tension knob. Now you can adjust this up and down. I haven't had to, but you have the option, just because once I set this down for dips, that's usually what I use it for. I don't have to move it up and down, but you have the option to move it up and down for different exercises. Now if we go up to the pull-up bar here, you have 5 different grips. So starting from the side, you have a wide grip. It has foam around the handle there. And then over here in the center, you have the multi-grip area. So you have a straight grip there with knurling. And the knurling on this, by the way, is mild. I wish it was more medium, just because I like to do weighted calisthenics, but it'll work. So you have the straight bar, you have the parallel, that's a wide grip, then you have the 45-degree, then the narrow grip parallel there. So good addition just to have more of an upper body component. You have your pull-ups, your dips, and your push-ups. Now I'll go over my pros and cons. I'll start with the cons. Con 1 would be that this is a very tall piece of equipment. So if you're somebody that works out from a basement or a place with low ceilings, you want to make sure you check the height of your ceiling before you invest in a piece of equipment like this. This is 87 inches in height. So make sure you measure that. Otherwise, you're going to be doing your pull-ups and touching the ceiling with your head. Speaking of pull-ups, another thing that I would change or do differently is that I would add a more aggressive knurling to the grips on the pull-up bar here. They're a mild knurling, and I prefer more of a medium knurling when doing pull-ups, just because I like to do weighted calisthenics, so I want to make sure I get a good grip. It's mild. I wish it was more of a medium type of knurling on there. And then the last con for me would be that there are some plastic parts that feel very cheap, like this one here at the bottom, and also surrounding the flywheels. Now these are non-structural parts. They're not going to matter whether they're there or not. It's more for protection of your fingers around moving parts. They're important pieces, but they're not crucial for the equipment to work. So now I'll go over my pros. Pro number 1 for me is that this is a very versatile piece of equipment that's not going to take up a lot of room. I can do both upper and lower body. With the power tower, I can have the upper body portion covered with the pull-ups, dips, and push-ups. Then I can go to the sled portion here and get some conditioning and some endurance. And I have the ability to add attachments to the posts here with the leg roller and also the multi-step attachment, so I can cover more of the lower body there with Bulgarian split squats, hip thrusts, step-ups, reverse step-ups, calf raises. So this thing can cover a lot of body parts and not take up a lot of space. So that's a good thing. Versatility is always great in a home gym. Pro number 2 would be that you have that sled portion that eliminates the need for a sled, because now you don't have to worry about going outside with bad weather. It can be hot, cold, raining, it doesn't matter. I can still work out and get my sled workout, work on my conditioning, because I'm indoors. Another advantage of having the SledTred here is that I don't have to worry about loading and unloading weights. That's one of the parts that sucks the most about working with a sled when you're done with your workout, especially, because now you have to unload all that weight after you kicked your own ass. So having that ability is a big plus. Also, you don't have to worry about having a lack of distance. You know, in a garage gym, we're limited with distance. I can just go on an endless sled and get that out of the way. And pro number 3 would be that this doesn't take up a lot of space when it's in the folded position. So once I'm done using the deck, the treadmill deck, I can fold it up, and it's going to take up 52 inches in length, 87 inches in height. So most of the space is going to be going up vertically, which is great, because now we have more footprint in our home gym. Number 4 is that I do like the goals feature they added to the display console here, where I can track my time, feet, and miles. And this way I can focus more on the workout rather than trying to keep track of a metric while I'm working out. So there you have it, guys. That's my review on the Tip Bar Guy SledTred. I feel it's a good machine that gives you a lot of versatility, so you can work out your whole body. You got the power tower to work out most of the upper body. You have the sled here that can work out your endurance and conditioning. And then you have the attachments that go on the posts here for more lower body stuff. So you get a lot of bang for your buck in a space-saving piece of equipment. I'll leave a link below this video if you want to learn more about it. That link is shreddeddad.com/SledTred. Use coupon code TREDDED50 for a discount. If you like the information in this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments and questions down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest uploads. For more home gym equipment reviews and discounts, make sure you visit my website, shreddeddad.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.